Welcome to my video presentation. My name is Cordula Bauer and I'm going to present the pictorial Form Follows Mental Models, Finding Instantiations of Image Schemas using a Design Research Approach. This work was created at the University of Würzburg together with my co-authors Caroline Wienrich and Jörn Hüttjen. I'd like to start with the notion of data physicalisation. Data physicalisations are physical objects which encode data by their geometry or material properties. They facilitate the embodied understanding of complex data, like the data physicalisation Touching Air by Stephanie Posavec and Miriam Quick does. In this example, the artifacts encode air pollution data by their shape, size, and color. Each segment of the necklace represents the air pollution data of 6 hours, and the whole necklace represents the air pollution data of 1 week. But further, it also demonstrates the use of image schemas to improve the intuitive understanding. So higher pollution is represented by a bigger shape. And it demonstrates the use of image schemas to transport the connotation of the physicalisation. So more pollution means more heavy objects, what leads to more pain. Image schemas were established by Johnson as abstract representations of recurring dynamic patterns of bodily interactions that structure the way we understand the world. Instantiated in user interfaces, they are promising to make interaction more inclusive, more intuitive, and more innovative. These are also desirable attributes for data representations. So we propose illustrations or physical objects which embody image schemas. We call them in the following image schema instantiations. Generated by a research-oriented design process and incorporated in a physical toolkit, these instantiations inspire the utilization of image schemas in the design process of data physicalisations. And used as inspirational tool, the image schemas can help to improve the data representation and to facilitate the embodied understanding of complex data. At this point, the question arises, how can image schemas be instantiated in visual or physical way? And how can we develop such representations to fill the toolkit? To address these questions, we implemented a research-oriented design process. Our main contribution is the development and evaluation of image schema instantiation sets. And the outcome of our design process are instantiations of 15 image schemas and knowledge about the potential and the limitations of instantiating image schemas and structuring the toolkit. In total, we did 3 design cycles: icons, tokens, and interactive objects. Each cycle contains 3 iterations, and each iteration consists of 3 stages: analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. We started each iteration with analyzing the given information or the outcome of the prior evaluation. In a second step, we created or reworked the artifacts based on our findings. And in a third step, we evaluated the design before we started again with analyzing the findings. As first step, we created the initial icon design. This was evaluated in a remote workshop with HCI experts and students, and in a workshop with 4 lay people. After analyzing the results and reworking the icons, the second set of icons was evaluated by 2 design experts. After analyzing the results, we created the final icon set. The aim of creating the icons was to figure out the characteristics of each image schema and to transfer them to visual properties. On base of the final icon set, we started with potting clay tokens. The first set of clay tokens was evaluated in a remote workshop with 2 design professionals. After analyzing the results, we created a second set of clay tokens, which was evaluated in a workshop with 6 lay people and by HCI experts via a questionnaire. And after analyzing the results, we created the final set of clay tokens. In this design cycle, our aim was to transfer the identified key characteristics from visual to physical properties. Now, shape and texture of 3-dimensional objects were used to express the image schemas and their characteristics. The tokens were the starting point for the third design cycle. Now we brainstormed interactions and crafted interactive objects. These were evaluated in a hybrid workshop with 14 HCI professionals and students, and in a workshop with 4 lay people. After analyzing the results, we crafted a new set of interactive objects. This was evaluated with 2 design experts and 3 design professionals. We again analyzed the results and created the final set of interactive objects. Here, the focus doesn't rely on shape and texture anymore. Now, characteristics of the image schema should become clear by interacting with the objects and by the experiences made. The design process showed also some essential insights regarding the instantiation of image schemas. So image schemas require different sensations. For example, the image schema strong, weak and heavy light can only be identified unambiguously through interaction and kinesthetic experiences. And the image schema warm, cold can not be conveyed through a tactile experience only. It needs the sensation of warmth to be identified in a compelling way. The interactive objects revealed also 2 different types of interaction. Explorative interaction was found mainly for attribute image schemas, and task-solving interaction, like placing clay balls, for example, was used mainly for space image schemas. The physical representation showed also to trigger topics the workshop participants deal with in their everyday life, for example, crafting tool or church symbols. And they also triggered physical experiences, especially such made in childhood, for example, physical models used in math class or remembering to step in a nail as a child. Further, we also observed the participants to be very inhibited to touch the objects, even when they were told to do so, especially if the instantiated image schemas became obvious through the visual appearance. Participants didn't touch the objects anymore. Further, we gathered also some suggestions how to structure the objects in the toolkit. And to complete the created objects are the core and one important step towards the toolkit, making image schemas accessible directly during the design process. They offer social engagement, are easy to inspect, and provide design proposals to instantiate image schemas and data physicalisations and show their possible effects. So this work created the first visual, physical, and interactive representations of image schemas, addressing the design process of data physicalisations. These instantiations are not only valuable as outcome of a research through design process, also the process itself is an attempt to establish design research in the field of HCI. And the next step in our research project is to test the image schema instantiations in the design process of data physicalisations. We will offer sets of image schema instantiations to widen the design space and foster new ideas for the design of data physicalisations. And with this, I come to an end. I'd like to thank you for your attention. and I'm happy to answer your question now.